Yo, what's up guys? I've been asked this a few times, why do you not do more Siege videos on your main account? So let's actually do one of those and let me show you how does it look like how to play Siege or in the rank 1 guild in Europe right now, Origin. As you can see in the current Siege, most of our players didn't even get the full contribution because the other two guilds started heavily focusing one another. We can check that by these numbers. They did 23 hits on us from Doubt, and they did 31 hits on us from Smash Bros, and they did all of the other hits against one another, which is relatively commonly what we do see if anyone plays against either us or Aftermath EU, that they start hard focusing one another to not get into the third spot, because getting a second spot still gives you a bit of points, whereas getting you a third spot will actually give you minus points. And the risk of simply not getting any points is way higher than trying to outmaneuver us and also trying to outmaneuver another strong guild at the same time. So for that case, most of our sieges does look a little bit like this. This one was pretty heavy in that kind of sense. So most of the time what I do, the moment the siege starts, I try to get 4 hits or 5 hits in, kind of depending on like how many hyenas such as me are alive at that same moment. And then towards the end of the siege or somewhere halfway in the middle, I try to get a few more hits in. But for us, it's mostly the waiting game. So the mid-season for us is a little bit boring. But let me show you how I do those siege hits, because it is pretty interesting, I would say. But then interesting in the sense of a little bit different than you might expect. Like, so first of all, what I mostly do is just check, okay, where can I get a bunch of hits in? What kind of defenses are they running? How are they running it? And what are my fast clears? Because in the early start of the siege, I mostly just want to get a bunch of hits in. All of those hits look like something. I'm mainly looking for things like, what do I have to rerun the least for? That is the main thing. So the Maximilian team, I always have to rerun a little bit. I am planning to rerun my Siege offense more properly again the moment we do get the balance pitch, which I will be talking a little about at the end of the video as well. So if you're interested about that, just wait until the end of the video. But yeah, Tiana mostly goes in with that. The Chung Pong mostly goes in with... I kind of do know what kind of rune is supposedly on it. It was switched out for something I used somewhere, and I actually should just make a save state of having that back on it. I do have a Maximilian right now that is a Violent Maximilian on additional damage artifacts. I do notice for Siege offense, it's a lot better to go for a crit rate and crit damage Maximilian, because it just simply does so much more damage. Even if you miss the armor break, it's just a lot better that way. But in this team, it's pretty easy. Sure, you have the fire element on the left side, but Maximilian like half destroys that anyways, and this is not even on crit damage. Like, if it was crit rate, crit damage, Maximilian would have pretty much annihilated the whole team by itself already. So that's going to be the first hit, and I'm actually going to be continuously playing this clip at the start of showcasing how I go through those hits. So then I have my second hit. Tiana is going to be the same Tiana as I used prior. Actually, in this team, it wouldn't be bad to go for a Tricks. If I were to go for a Tricks, I do have all of the right elements at it. But I went for the Siana because the Siana is fully runed up. And from the start of the siege, we already knew it's like, okay, we could super try hard this, but to be honest, most of the time they will go kind of for a 1v1. So getting a lose here or there is not as impactful as it would be towards like a tournament. If it was a tournament play, I would have absolutely ruined a Triss, the Fire Triss, and Fire Triss would do this setup a lot better. So I thought I could go in for an S2 and still cut, because the S2 on 4 debuffs gives you 100% attack bar, but the enemy was already at 101. So it was a little bit awkward right now with getting the silence, and the silence was spread to the Siana that wanted to do an S3. But I did have my rotation of the S3 in here. Did do a bit of damage, but there was no armor break on the left unit anymore. So for that reason, we do get a bit of Vio procs. And that's the main thing. Mostly in Siege, you just want to get to the point where there's no chance of Vio procking. But in here, does get another skill off, does get an additional turn, and nearly does kill it. That's also the importance of having your Tiana on good runes. Has to do good damage, has to be a little bit tanky, because if it's just a little bit tanky and does a little bit of good damage, you can still get away with like making slight misplays or just things just suddenly not really working out. Was happy with that resistance over there. Did get another skill 2 off on the Nefties. And from here, it is just a bit of cleanup. If we don't get stunned, does get another living forest off. That is also why Taranis is that good and what Nana is definitely not able to do. But in here, I also took my additional turns, so we're trading additional turns for additional turns. Yay, more additional turns. Okay, I'm trading his 1 or 2 additional turns for my 4 additional turns. That's how you win your games. So yeah, it took a little bit longer. Normally I do want to have faster fights in there, especially at the start, because the faster the fights are, the more fights I can get in the first place. So once again, hitting one more of those, I have the Ian team. Ian team is always very specific, rune to two things that I have to do, or actually three things that I have to do. First of all, I have to put the artifact of additional damage on the homunculus. And for the people that can read Chinese, you can actually check the name of this homunculus. Let me know in the comments if you can read Chinese and you know the name of that homunculus, but whatever. Then for the Ian, there's always two runes, and those are the two runes that are on the Odin. Normally, in this case, the Tiana was already taking that. And then I mostly tend to switch out the Ion for the right damage artifact. Could be a crit damage max if it has to hit a little bit of everything. If there's one thing in particular that I really have to kill, then I'll go for the element on that. In this case, what you do want to do is kill the Narsha first, because the Narsha starts giving A to B from passive. You already see the +3. If I hit something else right now, it would be +4, it would be +5, and then it starts outspeeding me. But if I kill it first, unless it's Swift, which these people could do on this team, you don't see that all too often. At least I haven't seen any of them. So I would definitely say during a tournament where people go for more traps, I think it would be a little bit more tricky. But in that case, I would also go for a little bit more of a cautious hit. But in this case, something like this, I'm like, yeah, it works most of the time anyways. People ain't gonna trap it. So totally fine. And we got 3 hits in thus far. So now we're looking for the final hit. This is always the point, like, okay, what can I hit fast without re-runing too much? Because my Adriana is kind of ruined, but not fully ruined. So I'm just kind of looking around like, okay, there's more of those. Actually, those were on both sides. So if you do want to get... But I think we're actually running that with the Narshas we have ourselves as well. So if you're looking for some kind of Narsha defense, that's definitely an option. So I was thinking, okay, can I clear those Sylvia Irenes? Actually, the team idea looks pretty strong. It looks pretty annoying, but I was like, let's just give it a try. Why not? I do think I go in here with a typical team on a... Adriana and a Sonya kind of style. So in this case, I don't expect it to be super fast. I do want to make sure that I do outspeed properly in case that he is fast. But I do also want to make sure that if there's some kind of death trap, which you do have to keep in mind, that I can still do enough damage. So I don't want to go with a combination and I go with a combination of attack increasing effect, but also still having enough additional or speed increasing effect. So just a bit of the combination of that mostly does work. The Mieng, I do go in this case for... Wait, did I go damage on... Where did I go the damage on? Damage on water? Does that make sense? Didn't I use you to go for the damage on the Sylvia? Yeah, I think that doesn't make too much sense, because I should have done damage on Dark over there, because I'm pretty sure I hit the Sylvia with the Mieng. So, made a mistake over there, because first of all, you want to take out that Irene. Or did I take out the Sylvia here? No, I did take out the Sylvia here. And then I went for the Irene. Yeah, that actually does make sense. No. That actually makes way more sense. I'm like, I did this yesterday. Why did I do that? But it actually does make way more sense, because the team up of the Sylvia plus the this thing that likes to take a few extra turns. It happens. So putting a slow on that definitely does help. I have additional damage on the Adriana, so therefore it is a little bit more of a beefy and damagey thing as well. But yeah, it does make a lot more sense to kill the Sylvia, because the team-ups of the Sylvia are way more deadly than just being put in the bag once or twice. This thing definitely did like to take its additional turns, but therefore I also like to go for a Sonya rather than a Siri, because the Sonya can pick up the passive, because it's definitely faster, even with a speed buff. So those were the first 4 hits that I could get in, and by this point everything was fully hit already, the first 8 minutes in, for what we mostly hit at Sun Opener. So then I would have to wait until my next hit. So then my next hit, I actually did forget to hit the record button, so I recorded it afterwards. Once again, one of those super simple teams. You kill one on the right, you kill one on the left, Adriana finishes it up. And that's the thing, like, there's so many Adrianas that are good, and I have 4 of them. So then we have about 5 hits left, once again hitting the Narsha. In this case, going in with a dot team. I did transfer over the runes from the Bludgeon that I normally have on the Amber, but it's not fully in tune. I should have went for a little bit of a faster set on that, because in this case, you could get outsped. We did see a good amount of resistance over there, but we did actually get outsped. but we do have to push back. In general, the main reason that I go for a Blodja here over a Rika or an Amber is because you have that pushback. And with that pushback, you can just load up so many dots that everything is just guaranteed to die. And with an Amber, they still could take a little bit of turns. They don't instantly die. And the pushback from the Blodja just makes it a lot stronger right here. And this is definitely one of those teams that I do use most of the Siege because it's just incredibly strong. It has so much versatility to it where you just do so many dots. You have multiple backups of strips. Also, Trix is one of the best stripper in game. So it's definitely one of those things that make it very good. So then I rune up my Lucian, which is pretty much set up in the deck altogether. And we go in with a bunch of Lucians because those teams, once again, it is a little bit tricky to do the moment you do that in the tournament because in the end, they have a 28 lead, they have a 115 base, I have a 33, or I have a 30 lead, I have only a 105 base. But in most cases, it does kill. And I have a Jhin that's pretty strong on the triple fight set that can actually go for proper cleanup. So that's also one of those things. If something does survive, my Jhin is at like 270 speed, 100 crit rate, still does a decent amount of damage, is triple fight. So it's definitely one of those things that can still clean up, even if they survive with like heavy minus wind. So then I had to wait for the next tower to pop up. And the next tower was once again the same thing. And I do actually have two of those. This is not my fast set. I still actually have to change it to my fast set because my fast set is a little bit faster than that. Gives you a little bit of a sneak peek of how fast that Dova is. 233 over there, but I did get some upgrades to it. So it's a few speed faster right now than that. So yeah, it's decently fast. And then the Lucian, typical one. I think I might have some Lucian upgrades as well. I should actually recheck this team, but I'll probably do that when the balance patch happened and I go for some more optimizing over there. Once again, team pretty slow. It's like, oh, might this team be very tanky? Is it going to be tanky? Nope, the team is hold that. Then one of my guildies actually did lose to one of those. And I asked him, is it Swift? It was not Swift. And then you know what we go in with. I was able to pick up a few more Jins from the event. This Jin is level 24 though. Don't mind me on that one. Also, I don't have more Dova, so I have to go for Theon. It's not really recommended because a Dova base towards a Theon base is -10. That's not really what I would recommend. But if I know it's not Swift, it's definitely one of those things I can go in with. I still have to max level my Jins. I did pick up 5 Jins from the HOH event. So in here, I'm just trying to find my Jin out with. If you want to see the Jin build, this is the Jin build, 170. Okay, it's not 100 crit rate, it's 97 crit rate. But then again, most of the times it's fine. Probably I can make a better build than that as well. I would have to recheck a few of those builds that I'm doing. Therefore, I also don't really mind to showcase that. Once again, switching over the Lucian set, switching over the Theon set. As you will notice, the Theon set with the thing from the Dova. My Dova at, it's over here in the middle left. Yes, sir. How fast is this? 230 on a 95. Yeah, that's not that fast. I would not really recommend doing this if you don't know that it's actually something else. So in this case, we do outspeed once again. Theon moves, Lucian moves, amputation magic, everything that. Yay, on to the next. It's just like that. Siege like these are like, yeah, I'm just cleaving everything, my man. I'm cleaving everything. And then the final hit, which is once again a Adriana. Yay. So yeah, that's why I don't do too many Siege videos on my main because it's not that creative. It's a bunch of Adrianas, a bunch of Lucians, a bunch of LD Cleaves with Diana, an Ian team in there, maybe a light Siri here and there. And that is about it. That is about as creative as I get for Siege nowadays. And that's the thing, like, it's also what I wanted to refer back to the balance patch. What would you guys like to see for Siege for a balance patch? Because for RTA, people already have a lot of plans like, oh, nerf this, buff all of the LDs I do have, nerf every unit I don't have, blah, blah, that kind of stuff. But what would you like to see for Siege becoming more interesting for a balance patch, or maybe even for RTA or PvE or anything like that? What would you like to see for a balance patch for something to be changed to the point where you say it's like, okay, the game gets a lot more interesting that way? Because in the end, would you have to nerf Adriana to make that work? Would you have to maybe nerf a, let's say, Camilla to make that work? Because Camilla is still pretty strong as well in a lot of teams. But then again, it would be just for the super high end in Siege players that would actually benefit from that, for having it a little bit more versatile. Because in the end, I would say that the lower end Siege players that are, well, everything that's not top 10 guilds, I guess, would definitely struggle a bit more with all of that. And yeah, to cater just to us doesn't make too much sense as well. But I definitely would like to see a little bit more options, because in the end, you did see it on both sides. We saw it over here. We had the same Narsha defenses that we had over here. The net 4 defenses were actually the same defenses that we're also running ourselves. The Narsha defenses were the same Narsha defenses that we're also running ourselves. So everyone is just kind of doing the same thing at the moment, which is pretty much just whatever was used in the last tournament or just transferred over from there for a little bit. So I'm definitely hoping to see a little bit more where we can see like different speed leads. We did have Irene coming into the meta, we did have Zenitsu coming into the meta, but it's still Sylvia based. So I would like to see another unit that's kind of like Sylvia level. Maybe give some random freaking unit a 33 guild lead or something. I don't know. I personally wouldn't really mind that. Like, she's the only one. Well, there's Geldnir, but Geldnir is kind of ass. So, yeah, something that would be kind of on par with a Sylvia would be pretty cool. Because right now, especially the high-end guilds, everyone's just catering towards like, oh, you have a Sylvia? You're immediately in. Oh, you don't have a Sylvia? Let me check what you actually have. Like, that's kind of the thing that is at it right now. So, yeah, kind of depending on what we see over there and how that would go. But I'm definitely curious to see what they would do for changed in Siege, because the Net 4, I can't even build this Net 4, I still don't have her. I did pull the light version of it, but I don't have the dark version. So yeah, that's definitely a change. We're also probably gonna get the change of the Siege runes being split from normal runes at the end of the month as well, so I think that will be at the same time as the balance patch. Big question on that one, however, is will just defense be on a switched pile of runes, or will also offense be on a switched pile of runes? Because if also offense is on the switched pile of runes, then Siege offense is going to become a lot stronger, because everyone has the chance, even if you don't have that many mana, you have the chance to do a proper reruning for every hit you do, and you have a chance to put your fastest swift rune set to the Bernard, to the Adriana, to the this, to the that. There's a lot of options out there where you do want to put your fastest set to. And that would make very much sense, but I think it's only going to be defense, and it's not necessarily a buff to Siege defense for that reason. I think it's more of a buff towards everything else, because in most cases, I think people for like their PvE runes, like their non-RTA runes, everyone first put their best runes on the defense, and then afterwards they start doing the other things. I think it might be a slight boost to Siege offense, actually, rather than defense, because now you can put your best runes on the defense, but still use those best set also on an offense build. So let's say in my case, what do I have running for defense right now? Let's say that my fastest set is on here, or my fast set is on here, or my fast set is on here. I can still, like these units, I'm not going to use in Siege offense, because I would put this towards Siege offense or something like that. So I could run these as fastest unit in my Siege defense, but then still use in Adriana as fastest set in Siege offense, or maybe a whatever Tiana's fastest set in Siege offense without me having to switch. So that would definitely be a boost for Siege offense rather than Siege defense. Siege defense already is a little bit on the weak side, but I definitely do notice it that lower end guilds, especially where I see in the guild that I'm at for my alt G1 guilds, it's a little bit more difficult. So let's see what's actually going to be the big thing on that one. And once again, let me know in the comment section, what would you like to see for buffs and nerfs? And keep in mind, try to keep it somewhat fair. Don't be like too hard on like, all of my LDs should be buffed and all of the LDs I don't have should be hella nerfed. But then again, that will probably be the case because everyone is biased, so am I. So let's see if Dark Demon actually does get a buff this time for the first time in freaking 6 years. Or they're gonna buff another Shiho. Either way, I'm gonna be doing a balance patch prediction video probably tomorrow or the day after. So if you want to see that, like this video and subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab for the guide video archive, which contains all of the guides that you might need. Hope to see you there.